What are your thoughts on belts, the belt system, and that whole part of jiu-jitsu?
I think it's important. I think it's important that belts exist, but I don't think they're as important as people make them out.
Mhm.
Um, you know, I obviously like I've worn my black belt a handful of times in the last 5 years. Right?
How did
Doesn't
it feel
matter.
though? Feel pretty good?
So I mean, like, yeah, it's I earned it, right? I earned
Right,
it
right, right,
through
right,
all the work that I had done, and so in that, I'm like, I would never want to take that achievement away from somebody that
right.
starts the sport with the expectations of, if they work hard, they go from blue belt to purple belt to brown belt to black belt and beyond, right?
Mhm.
And so it's a good it's a good delineation mark of somebody's skill level sometimes, right? For wrestling, for example, sometimes, right? For
Yeah,
wrestling, for
yeah.
example, right? You have wrestlers who were middle school wrestlers, and then they graduated to high school wrestlers. Then you have a small subset who went on to be collegiate wrestlers, and then you have a much smaller subset who became international wrestlers, right? And so, when you're like, hey, do you have any, a guy walks into your gym, he looks like a wrestler. Like, hey, do you have any grappling experience? Oh yeah, I wrestled in high school. Okay, cool. That's your blue belt, right? That's your blue
Right.
belt right there. He's like,
Yeah,
I wrestled in high school. Could be really good blue belt,
right.
could be a not so good blue belt. That's your blue belt. I wrestled in college. Oh yeah, where'd you wrestle? Oh, it's some D3 school. Could be a really good purple belt, could be an okay purple belt. Who knows? Or maybe he wrestled
Right, right.
25 years ago. And they're like, oh, yeah, I wrestled D1 at Penn State.
Oh,
Okay. Oh, you're really good, right? That's probably a black belt, brown belt. I don't know. But then there's like that next step up. Yeah, I wrestled in the Olympics
yeah.
for Russia, right? And so like there are ways, like there are markers there. They're like, okay, I know that guy's going to be amazing.
Right.
There are markers, right? They're not as cut and dry as like I'm a blue belt, I'm a purple belt, I'm a brown belt, I'm a black belt, but they're there, you
Yeah.
know. And unfortunately, a guy who maybe just wrestled in high school and then continued to wrestle but didn't wrestle in college because of whatever and never wrestled internationally, you'll never truly know kind of where his skill level is at unless you test him and you wrestle with him or whatever. But at least in jiu-jitsu, you get a better idea of where somebody's at. But how many times have you wrestled with somebody who is a higher belt than you? Oh, I forget what rank you are in jiu-jitsu right now.
I'm a purple belt.
You're a purple belt. How many times have you wrestled with or done jiu-jitsu with a brown belt, and you're like,
No.
eh, probably enough times. I don't
Right,
know. I
right.
don't know how often you cross train or whatever, but like probably enough times. We get guys who visit the gym weekly, daily, and they come from all over. They come from out of state because they're visiting family, and they come and train with us. Or they
Yep.
come in from in state. They train at different schools, and they come in and they're purple belts, brown belts, black belts, and my blue belts smash them like
Right.
consistently. And so belts are not a good indicator of skill. They're a decent indicator of how much time that person has been training and how seriously they took it
Right.
at best, but not skill. I don't think we should do away with it. I think it's still good for what it is. I think it helps encourage people to work towards a goal, like
Yeah.
work towards something, and it gets them there eventually. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter that much because I have blue belts and purple belts that will beat very very high level black belts in jiu-jitsu, like it just happened this weekend. Henry Zachary, my -99 competitor, beat two black belts, one who's been to ADCC, one who has almost made it to ADCC a couple of times, and he's been training for 4 years, and he was a blue belt less than 6 months ago. So
I think that that's extremely well said. What it indicates and what it should be seen as. It definitely, I think, there's a business side of this too. Like, if you operate a business and you have incentives to keep people coming back, not every person who walks in your door is going to become your sub 99 kilo competitor who goes and beats
mhm,
black belts. But the lights got to stay on, the coffee's got to keep pouring, and clothing has to keep getting designed, right? So
mhm,
some people, if maybe their reason for coming back is because they want to feel progress on a system or whatever, and there's some sense of accomplishment there for them, and it's not to be under celebrated, right?
mhm.
When someone gets something like a brown belt and they've committed all that time in their life to be a training partner and to show up, I feel like there's some value there. but
Mhm.
knowing that maybe the value of the belt ends there
Mhm.
and that it is not, like you said, a representation of skill, because we're seeing that in ADCC. Obviously, it's not the gi, so it is a slightly different conversation than like IBJJF, but I like the way that you framed that, because I think it's a pretty accurate description of where they sit and what they mean.